Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandaviya and the Science and Technology Minister Jitendra Singh today launched Bharat Biotech's nasal COVID-19 made in India vaccine. It's called iNCOVACC. This is the world's first COVID-19 nasal vaccine which has been launched on the 26th of January. The Health Minister launched this. As I just told you, its name is iNCOVACC. Bharat Biotech has made this vaccine. What it exactly means will be very, very significant, and how to use it, perhaps that will be, that message will have to spread. How readily is this going to be available? As we told you, this is the world's first COVID-19 intranasal vaccine, which was developed by Bharat Biotech and costs 800 rupees in private hospitals and 365 rupees in government hospitals. Let's quickly listen in to what the Health Minister has to say.
वैसे ही एफर्ट के साथ हम आगे बढ़े। आप सबको मेरी शुभकामनाएं। आपका नेसल वैक्सीन हिंदुस्तान में नहीं केवल, लेकिन विश्व में मैं मानता हूं कि फर्स्ट वैक्सीन है। उसका उपयोग हिंदुस्तान में भी हो और दुनिया में भी हो। अल्टीमेटली हमारा लक्ष्य है देश और विश्व स्वस्थ रहे।
Joining us right now, Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta, Professor of the Center of Social Medicine and Community Health. Thank you very much, Dr. Dasgupta. My first question, how does this work?
Thank you. The way this iNCOVACC works is that this results in what we call mucosal immunity, which means it produces immunity at the nasal lining or the epithelial lining. It also induces systemic immunity, which means inside the body, like other vaccines. And that is one of the significant advantages of nasal vaccine. Also that because COVID is a respiratory infection, and again, this is true of nasal vaccines which have been pursued for several other infections that enter the body through the respiratory route. It acts as a first barrier, and therefore this has significant advantages over the other vaccines that have been in use.
Dr. Dasgupta, you see, we had the first dose, the second dose, and a significant coverage as far as the protection dose is concerned. But since then, I mean, of course, many months have passed, and now one would assume that the effects of these doses may wean off in a lot of people, or may be wearing thin. In a situation like this, what would you recommend? What would the government recommend? This dose maybe?
The current recommendation is that those who haven't taken their booster dose, which is the third dose, given that the primary vaccination consisted of 2 doses of the approved vaccines in India, the third dose is recommended using this for those who haven't taken a third dose or a booster dose or a precaution dose. And this has therefore been approved for what's called a heterologous booster, which means that this is not the same vaccine that you took for your primary immunization, which is the first 2 doses. However, those who have had already taken the third dose or the booster dose, it's still not recommended for them to have a 4th dose, and that's something that has been in discussion for some time, whether immunity has waned enough to merit a 4th dose or a second booster. That's certainly not what it has been recommended yet. And in fact, it has been given due consideration, and the considered view is not to go for a 4th dose now, but that the entire eligible population completes the booster dose or the third dose.
Dr. Dasgupta, the government has had a clear position as far as not mixing the vaccines, right? So far, the 2 doses that you have taken, the booster dose, it's also recommended that you go for the same vaccine, the same manufacturer, the same brand. In this case, how will the rollout be done?
So it is available on COWIN. It is available also both in the government institutions.
No, sir, I was meaning to ask you its compatibility with, say, a Covishield. Is it compatible with Covaxin or Covishield?
Yes. So now that the authorization has been given, the authorization has been given for a heterologous booster, which means that irrespective of whether you took a Covishield or a Covaxin, you can certainly take this as the booster dose.
Dr. Dasgupta, you see, this is a nasal spray. Now, we know the vial of the old vaccines would, you can give that dose to 10 people. How does this work? I mean, will a single dose be enough for one individual? How is it administered?
So this is administered 4 drops in each nostril with your head tilted back. If someone is using it as the first dose, then the primary schedule is 2 doses 4 weeks apart. However, if it is being used by someone who already got 2 doses of any other vaccine and this is a booster dose, then it's got to be used once, 4 drops in each nostril. This is coming in 2-dose packs. So one vial, when opened at any health institution or any delivery point, would contain 2 doses. Once opened, the vial needs to be consumed within 6 hours. If these 2 doses are not consumed within 6 hours, then it's got to be discarded. The other advantage is that it can be stored at 2 to 8 degrees Celsius. In other words, it does not have very difficult storage specifications.
Dr. Dasgupta, you see, there was a time when we clocked many crores of doses, and that was the success of the CoWIN app and also of the frontline warriors, the medical fraternity, to be able to achieve that. Obviously, that has slowed down now. So, what are the risks involved, with COVID? Now that we know that it is wreaking havoc in China, there are studies also happening. Where does this vaccine come into the picture? And how do you scale that up?
Well, these are perhaps 2 slightly different considerations. One, that if we set the clock back by about 40 to 45 days, you will remember that there was an apprehension and a warning that India may see a surge in the next 30, 40 or 45 days. Now, that's certainly what has not happened, and that's almost entirely due to what's referred to as the hybrid immunity that the vast majority of Indian population has, which is a combination of natural infection, which may have been clinical or subclinical, that is without any overt symptoms, plus the pretty high levels of vaccination, certainly pretty high levels of 2 doses of vaccination and a certain amount of booster doses that majority of the population has got. Uptake of booster doses world over has been relatively slow as the infection has in a sense waned, except for of course some specific situations in some of the countries. So demand for boosters has been relatively low. The government's position, and rightly so, is that those who have already taken 2 doses certainly complete their booster dose.
Okay. Dr. Dasgupta, many thanks for joining us and answering these questions. There are many more, but then we'll ask you sometime later. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.